Hi, do you remember me? I am Tom Bates. You met my parents, and then you kind of met me. And remember, I was going to go to Idaho, and I did. And we went to Idaho just by myself and a friend of mine too. And I play the fiddle. It's an instrument. I play the fiddle. It's like a violin. And my friend had a banjo. And so some guys got us to go all the way up to Rexburg, Idaho. Remember where Rexburg is? Has that little school up there. Kind of nothing else going on in that town, but they got a little school. And we played for a dance. And it was the first dance. Look, they're dancing a square dance. Looks like a circle. That's supposed to be a square. It's square dancing in Rexburg. It was the first dance in Rexburg, and that's me playing my fiddle, and we're at a dance, and they enjoyed that, those people in Rexburg. And we decided to, my friend and I, so we kind of traveled with the Foster family. George and, or Charles, not George, Charles Foster. And he was Charles and Ann Foster, and they had some kids. They decided to come to Idaho too, and they had two grown daughters. And one was named Nora, and I kind of liked her. I kind of liked Nora. And my friend John, he dated their other daughter, and so we kind of got to know each other, and John ended up marrying their one girl, Annie Foster, and I married Nora. Nora and I got married. And we started to kind of farm in Idaho a little bit, and we had a little girl, and her name was Edith Ellen. She's so cute. And little Ellen got sick with something called the whooping cough, and it's just about as bad as it sounds. It's a whooping cough, and you just cough and cough and cough and cough and cough and cough. It's really bad. And I went to Idaho Falls to get medicine for her. We kind of settled like by Rexburg, Lyman area, and I would have to go all the way to Idaho Falls to get medicine, and we had to do that a lot. And sometimes one of my friends would go, and sometimes we got as much medicine as we could, but our little girl died. She died from the whooping cough. We were so sorry to lose her. Well, we kept working. It's let me tell you one thing. It is hard to farm in Idaho, okay? And so we would come up and farm for a little bit and then go back to Utah and get a job. And I just had to get a job. We had ran out of money, we had our food, we had to get a job. So go back to Utah, get a job, come back to Idaho and farm. Go back to Utah and get a job. We did that a little bit. And then one time I got a job in Idaho. And we had it was for a Mr. Just, and he wanted to build a canal on his land to make his canal longer. And so that was nice to have a job up in Idaho. I didn't have to go all the way back to Utah. And then I decided, because we've been in Rexburg, and I decided I want to go see the Teton Valley. You ever been there? The Teton Valley in Idaho. It's kind of where Driggs is at. I liked that place. I liked that. I think, hey, this is a good place. And I got a ranch or a farm on Mahogany Creek. You have been to Mahogany Creek. What's there now? There's a lodge there now. Have you ever been to that place? That's on Mahogany Creek, up Mahogany Canyon. That's where I lived. Not right there, but that's where I had my farm. Is that kind of neat? Well, we went up and worked, and my brother-in-law, Steve Foster, so Charles' other son, I married Steve's sister, Nora. They're brother and sister. And so we started working on a farm up there, and we were digging. We were just digging, dig, and we wanted to get a ditch done before we, recorded the farm with the county, and it was hard work. Okay, you remember, it's hard to farm in Idaho. It's not much different in Teton Valley, and we dug, and one day Steve just fainted. I was like, "Whoa, Steve, are you okay?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, it was such hard work." Steve was a strong guy. He was really strong. All we had to eat was little sour apples and bread. And we didn't have any sugar. Oh, nothing else, nothing. We had that for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack. That was it. That was what we had to eat. And it just wasn't enough food for the hard work we had to do. Oh my goodness. So anyway, we made it. We had little apples and bread, and we finished that farm, and we got a farm there in Idaho. And finally, we got it to work, and Nora and I started farming. You had all your farm stuff, your cows and everything, and we had another little boy in the meantime, and his name was Ernest. And you might have met Ernest. There's a funny story that we had a little sod hut. First off, we didn't have a house. Got a house later, but we had a little sod hut that had grass on the top. And one day when it was raining, and we put little Ernest in a basket under an umbrella, there's Nora, his mom, to stay dry, because that's the only way he could stay dry. Maybe you've already heard that story. But that was our little boy Ernest, and we had another little baby boy named Henry. There's Henry Bates. Hello, Henry. And we did pretty well on our little farm finally. And we had cows, and we had chickens, and we got so much butter and eggs. We ate all we could, and it was good stuff. And the rest of it, we'd use the butter as grease for our horses' harnesses and bridles. Grease with the butter. Butter. Make the harnesses last a long time and look good, all shiny with grease. And we use it on our farm machinery. And we put butter on the bread, and we would put poison on the butter and leave it out for the squirrels to eat. Squirrels are everywhere. You gotta get rid of them somehow. So that's what we did with all the butter and eggs that we had on our good farm here. And while we were here, we started to have a Sunday school, and it was pretty nice. We had a Sunday school, and we would meet in somebody's house. We would just go to their house. So we didn't have a church house yet, and so everybody would come to this person's house, and we'd have Sunday school, and then after a little while, we would go to another person's house. And everybody come over there for Sunday school, and then everybody has to travel about the same amount. We just all go around the valley, and that's where we have Sunday school, just at your house. That's kind of nice, isn't it? Well, Nora and I had one more little baby. And so we had 4 kids all together, because our first one died. We had 2 boys, and we had a little girl named Annie Marie. And right after that, Annie was 2 years old, and my wife Nora died. She got sick and she died. And I was left alone, and I actually gave Annie to another family to raise. It was, a few years later, I actually married my sister-in-law. And because her husband died, and that was Stephen Foster, that we dug that ditch together when we were eating apples and bread, and he fainted. Remember that? He was fine, but he died a little later on, and he was married to a girl named Louisa. So here's Charles and Henry, and my wife Nora, and her brother Stephen married a girl named Louisa, and they had 2 boys. They had George Foster and Charles Foster. And I married Louisa, because her husband had died. Stephen had died. He was a good man. And so she had her 2 boys, and I had my 3 kids, and that was our family. That was the family we made. And I will show you a picture of our family. So once everybody got grown up, so we had, here's my son Ernest, and here's his brother Henry, that's my son, and my daughter Annie. And then here is George, Louisa's son, and Edwin, Louisa's son. And George took his father's last name, Foster, and Edwin took my last name, Bates. Kind of confusing, huh? And then Louisa and I had 5 girls. You'll notice my daughter Annie is kind of small. Can you see that in this picture? I'll tell a little bit about her story another time, but just so you know, this is our family. That's the family we got to make. So we did pretty darn well. And and it was about that time there was a branch organized, and I was presiding elder, like the bishop, and we built a church house in 1941. That church house is still there. You can see it. Somebody lives in it like a house. Let me tell you one more story, kind of a funny one. I was working with a guy I knew named Lum Nickerson, and he was a character, I tell you. He was kind of interesting. Lum Nickerson, and we were putting up hay, and people would pay us to put up their hay, and so this is called we didn't have any cranes back then, so this is called a derrick. A derrick. This is a hay derrick. Hey, derrick. Anyway, we worked with that, and while we were working, I remember on the news, this guy named Ed Trafton got out of jail, and his real name is Ed Harrington. I know I didn't get a picture of him, and he was he was a stagecoach robber, and there was one time he would go to Yellowstone Park, and he didn't have any cars, so he'd ride around these carriages, and this guy named Ed, he held up a carriage of some wealthy tourists and made them get out and say, okay, give me all your money. And what do we got here? We got some money, we got purses, let's see, some jewelry. Okay, yeah, keep it coming. Anything else you got here? Get all that. Yep, thanks, folks. I'm robbing you. See you later. And what happened was Ed and Lum went into business a little bit together, sort of. They stole some horses one day, and they got arrested, but they escaped and got up to High C Hot Springs in Idaho, and got arrested again, and they went to jail. And they were interesting characters. Ed passed away after a little while, thank goodness, because anyway, we're getting a little older now. There's myself and my wife, my second wife, Louisa, and we lived in Teton Valley the rest of our lives, and we liked it. I hope you like it too. Do you like Driggs and the lodge in Teton Valley? It's a good place. I hope we built a good place for you, and I hope you take care of it.